All right. We also have Hofstra University professor James Sample with us. But I think I want to stick with you, Jake, for one more second. There is something perverse about this. What's she doing in front of cameras? Did the president just do this willy-nilly? I mean, there are going to be people out there who are going to say, war's not going well in Iran. Let's fire somebody. Whoop! You know?
No,
there's
I don't
always
think
another
that's
thing
the case.
happening.
I don't think that's the case, Katie. I don't. Leaving aside whether the war is going right or going well or not, I think the writing was on the wall here. I mean, listen, I could tell you from our reporting last night before we wrote this item in our morning edition, the president had called a lot of senators and had spoken to a lot of people. And as we reported this morning, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, at a House Republican elected leadership retreat, people knew. It's not like Kristi Noem had her head buried in the sand and didn't understand that this could possibly be coming. Now, did she know it was coming today? I guess I don't know the answer to that. Did she know before she walked on the stage to talk about she's talking about tax credits that she might put in place. Like, she's no longer going to be DHS secretary, presumably, the next couple of weeks, pending Markwayne Mullin's confirmation.
Jake, let's talk about this wrinkle here. So the confirmation hearing, I'm getting this from Sam Brody. The confirmation hearing to run DHS would take place, obviously, in the Senate Homeland Security Committee, chaired by Senator Rand Paul, who Mullin recently called, quote, a freaking snake, while also sympathizing with the neighbor who attacked Rand Paul back in 2017. How is that going to go?
Everything is cool, Katie. It's going to be all cool. It's going to be all great. Things are totally normal. I mean, listen, Rand Paul cannot. I don't want to say cannot. It would be very unusual for Rand Paul to deny Markwayne Mullin a hearing at DHS. Lots of people say lots of things up here about other people. and
Sympathizing with the guy who beat you up and put you in the hospital.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. I have to imagine that that he will hold a confirmation hearing and he will be confirmed. Would I bet a lot of money on that? No, I would not bet. I would bet some, but I wouldn't bet a lot of money on that. I think he will ultimately be confirmed. I think Rand Paul will hold a confirmation hearing, and that's that.
All right, James, I'm going to let you jump in now that we've got the theatrics out of the way. Let's put it that way. The internal politics of Congress. What do you think of this?
We work in television, but no one out there perhaps watches more television than Donald Trump. And I'm thinking about the hearings over the past couple of days. And to put it mildly, the hearings did not go well in the Senate or in the House. And they did not go well in a way that hearings have typically gone well for Donald Trump, which is to say, we have seen very little melting from the GOP in oversight contexts, in confirmation contexts, in congressional contexts. The rarest of rarities has been Republicans standing up to Donald Trump. And with Kristi Noem, the last couple of days, the Republicans in Congress had confidence that they had a vehicle to do that was safe for them, right? The number one principle for legislators is self-preservation. Yeah. And that's why they haven't stood up to Donald Trump. We know that. The last couple of days, standing up to Kristi Noem was something that you saw a number of Republicans who very, very rarely are out of lockstep with Donald Trump.
Jake says they reviled her. They hated her. And you could see it. You can see it in the hearing. There was a difference with the way that they were dealing with her. And I wonder where that comes from, because, there's a lot of controversy in this administration. There's a lot of people who say things that certainly make, I imagine, people on Capitol Hill uncomfortable, including the President of the United States. What was it about, and you obviously can't get into their brains, but what can we guess about Kristi Noem that made people so frustrated and sick and tired of her? Tillis especially was done. Had no F's to give about Noem or Stephen Miller.
Yeah. No, I think the answer to the question, beyond being unknown, is Renee Good. The answer is Alex Preddy. The answer is optics. 737s with bedrooms in the back, It's not a good.
Let's put those. I know we're watching Nome, but let's put the images of the jet that she was trying to buy in the back. It's a $70 million jet, I believe.
Yeah, the optics. The jet looks great. The optics are.
I love that jet.
The optics are not good, and I think that the administration is encountering resistance. I think Minnesota. We use terms like tipping point, and we don't know. The truth is, but Minnesota was different, right? And she took some of that on the chin, right? The replacement, the situation in Minnesota, many of us have moved on, and that's a problem because for many of the people there on the ground, the situation has changed incrementally, but not necessarily dramatically. But things do feel different with Tom Homan in charge vis-a-vis when Kristi Noem was in charge. The reality is, we talked about this when it was happening. Immediately calling individuals who have been victimized by law enforcement domestic terrorists.
What was so interesting about that, and my husband interviewed Tom Homan right after Renee Good was shot and killed. It was that evening, and Kristi Noem had been calling her a domestic terrorist. The administration had been saying that she was at fault, that she was trying to run the police officer over. And so my husband asked Tom Homan about this, and he said, I'm not going to comment on it. I'm going to wait until an investigation happens. It would be irresponsible for me to comment before an investigation, which is a standard line that you get from anybody in law enforcement, anybody.
And she said
but you weren't getting it from anybody else, and you were getting it from Tom Homan. He was the one that was out of step. Later on, he, got on board with everybody saying that, that she was clearly in the wrong. But it was one of those clear examples where there's one person in the administration that's at least willing to say the things you're supposed to say in situations like that.
If you've watched the movie Bull Durham, right? There's a set of
great movie.
There's a set of quotes that are just so easy to apply to the particular.
Give me all of them. The pitcher's quotes. Give it to me. Take it day by day. I'm just saying.
Some days you win, some days you lose, some days it rains. It's raining today in New York. But the reality is those are the layups, right? That's the easy part of the job. The jobs are hard. That's the easy part. Saying those quotes is the easy part. And what you're referencing is that Tom Homan was notable. He was a standalone, in a sense, at that point because he was doing that easy part.
We got the images of the jet up. Again, it looks really nice. She ended up saying this is for deportations. Not clear where the deportees would be sitting on this plane when you go through it. And my colleague Jacob Soboroff just did an amazing job giving us a tour of this plane the other day when he was filling in for Chris Hayes. There's no extra seating. I mean, there's seating, very comfortable seating for administration officials or for Noem and Corey Lewandowski. There's some bar seats. Maybe the deportees would sit on the bar seats, but it's not clear. It's not clear if they were deporting people, and I'm making light of it, but we have seen how they deport people, and it is not like this.
No, the folks who were spirited off in the middle of the night to CCOT to be tortured because they were allegedly members of Tren de Aragua, which proved to be false. They were not treated in a manner consistent with humanity, much less consistent with that jet. This is a serious matter without a doubt. And I think, those who have said there need to be consequences for some of the things that have transpired. This is a consequence. How meaningful? Who knows?
Why did she feel? I guess, Veronica, I'm going to bring you in on this. Veronica, thank you so much for sticking by. Why did she feel in the moment so justified or so able to come out after Alex Preddy and after Renee Good to call them domestic terrorists immediately without even waiting to get the report from the officers on the ground or to look at the images for herself? The images that we saw of the shootings, both of them, came out almost immediately. I mean, we all saw them almost immediately. She didn't even wait for that before she labeled them both domestic terrorists. Why did she feel at liberty to do that?
I think that probably goes into that $220 million taxpayer funding ad that she had to play this role. And the role was keep saying that this is a targeted enforcement approach, keep saying that these are domestic terrorists, keep saying to play into this narrative. And it was something that up until this point was working for the administration. And I think that Senator Tullis really described this well. Like, immigration was an issue that they should be winning. And now the public is beginning to think whether deportations are right at all. And so I think that the turning point here was people started to see through that. They started to see that she was using a cannon to kill a mouse. Like, immigration laws are so forgiving. They're in the shadows. They have such extraordinary authority. And the way that she was bringing this out and playing it in public view, now people are starting to question whether any agency should really have the authorities that they have.